Musich, ahí está recibiendo piso. Piso, Musich. Hola, hola. Hola. Piso. Piso. ¿Sí? Ok. Piso. 1, 2. Piso 1, 2. Piso 1, 2.
Uno, dos. Probando webcast, Cosich. Vamos a probar piso para Cosich. Piso, piso, piso. Ok, vamos a probar cabina de English booth. Good morning.
Three floors on check. 1, 2, 3. Floor. Yes. All right.
Mr. Chairman, with 25 delegations in the Hall of the Americas, we have quorum to proceed.
Good morning. I have the honor to declare open this special meeting of the Permanent Council dedicated to the farewell tribute to Ambassador Nestor Mendez, Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States. We consider approved. Distinguished Permanent Representative of Member States, Mr. Secretary General Albert R. Ramdin, distinguished permanent observers, Mrs. Elvira Mendez, family and friends of Ambassador Nestor Mendez, special guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States, Ambassador Nestor Mendez. Today, we come together to honor not only a colleague and a leader, but a tireless champion of the inter-American ideal, someone whose dedication, integrity, and vision have left an enduring mark on this organization. For nearly a decade, you have served as Assistant Secretary General of the OAS with distinction, earning the deep respect and admiration of all who have had the privilege to work alongside you. Since assuming office in July 2015 and then being unanimously re-elected in 2020, Ambassador Mendez has dedicated himself with unwavering commitment to the mission of the OAS and to the values we collectively defend. His leadership has helped guide the organization through a time of profound transformation internally and externally. As Secretary of the Permanent Council, he was often the quiet force behind the scene, advising, coordinating, and preparing with precision. Those of us who have had the occasion to chair this council know how critical that guidance has been. His instinct for diplomacy, his capacity to foresee and navigate tensions, and his deep understanding of our hemisphere's political diversity made him a reliable and trusted partner to all. An essential part of Ambassador Mendez's legacy lies in his leadership in organizing some of the organization's most significant moments. Over his tenure, he coordinated and oversaw 10 regular sessions of the General Assembly, including 2 held entirely virtually due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as 5 special sessions of the General Assembly. These complex, high-stakes undertakings required not only logical expertise, but also the ability to navigate evolving political landscapes with tact and agility. From Santo Domingo in 2016 to St. John's just a few weeks ago, and through these unique challenges of the 2020 and 2021 virtual sessions, his steady hand ensured the success of each event. But Ambassador Mendez did more than manage. He modernized. Faced with the unprecedented disruption of the COVID-19 pandemic, he led the OAS into the digital era. When physical meetings were no longer possible, he and his team made virtual diplomacy not only viable, but effective, often setting the standards for other regional organizations. His innovation went further. Under his leadership, the organization undertook important efforts to modernize its internal processes and documentation systems with a clear focus on enhancing transparency, efficiency, and institutional accountability. These were not merely administrative improvements. They represent meaningful structural advancement that will strengthen the organization's operations for years to come. Ambassador Mendes has also been a tireless advocate for inclusive development. Through his leadership, the OAS became a platform for recognizing the heritage, struggles, and contributions of marginalized communities. From the institutionalization of Black History Month in the Inter-American Weeks for People of African Descent and Indigenous Peoples, he has elevated important conversations into concrete action. He has reminded us that the equity is not just a principle, it must be practiced. Within his office, he led by example, promoting gender parity, maintaining an open door policy, and fostering a work environment built on trust and collaboration. His message for member states was simple and sincere. You elected me, and I will always be here for you. And he was. We also recognize his work as a facilitator of partnerships, be it his collaboration with the Pan American Development Foundation, his co-chairing of health and disaster response committees, or his innovative coordination with humanitarian actors to bring support to vulnerable communities in Haiti. He saw beyond the limitations of bureaucracy and found practical ways to deliver results. Importantly, Ambassador Mendes has been a champion of youth. His support to the Young America's Business Trust and his constant engagement with students and young leaders reflect his belief that the future of our region depends on the empowerment, education, and entrepreneurship of our youth. He helped ensure that their voices were heard and valued. Ambassador Mendes also played a key role in strengthening interinstitutional cooperation within the Inter-American system, particularly through his close collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization. As co-chair of two high-level committees focused on mental health and primary care, he helped to elevate critical public health issues on the hemispheric agenda. His efforts promoted a more coordinated response to shared challenges and underscored the value of aligning political dialogue with technical expertise. Through his collaboration, he reinforced the importance of placing human well-being and public health all at the center of regional development. Dear Ambassador Mendes, your tenure has been marked by dedicated service, innovative leadership, and genuine empathy. You have worked not for personal recognition, but to strengthen the very fabric of this institution and to advance the well-being of the people it serves. You have shown us that leadership can be both firm and principled, while also kind and inclusive. As you embark on the next chapter beyond this role, we thank you sincerely for your dedication, the partnerships you have forged, and the enduring legacy of integrity and progress you leave behind. We would also like to acknowledge the important role your family has played in supporting you through this journey. To your wife, Elvira, and your children, Kiara and Awa, who have been with you, strengthening every step of the way, we offer our warmest regards. And to your mother, Genova, whose patience and prayers have always fortified you, we send our heartfelt appreciation. In addition, we extend our deepest gratitude to all your colleagues in the Assistant Secretary General's Executive Office, the Office of the Permanent Council, and the General Assembly, the Department of Conferences and Meetings Management, as well as the entire staff of the OAS General Secretariat and the network of the OAS national offices. Their dedication to hard work have been vital to the success of your tenure. On behalf of the Permanent Council, and with the highest appreciation, we wish you continued success, good health, and fulfillment in your future endeavors. Wherever your path takes you, may you continue to be a voice of unity, dignity, and justice. Thank you, Ambassador. It is now my pleasure to extend a warm greeting and offer the floor to Mr. Albert Ramdin, Secretary General of the Organization of American States. Mr. Secretary General, the floor is yours. Thank you, sir. That was a long...
Good morning, Mr. Chair, distinguished Ambassador Steve Farrell, Permanent Representative of Dominica. Congratulations on the assumption of this duty. Distinguished Permanent Representatives of Member States, distinguished permanent observers, Mrs. Elvira Mendes, family and friends of Ambassador Nestor Mendes, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Dear Ambassador Nestor Mendes, Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States. As we gather today, and this happens every 10 years, more or less, to mark the conclusion of a decade of dedicated service by Ambassador Nestor Mendes as Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States, it is both a privilege and an honor to pay tribute to a leader whose commitment to the organization, to this institution, and also to the peoples of the Americas has been nothing short of remarkable. Today, we will bid farewell not just to a colleague, but to a steadfast hemispheric champion, advocate, and a cherished friend. Ambassador Mendes' journey through the inter-American system has been defined by very important principles and values: integrity, sense of purpose, and an enduring impact because of that. From his early days representing Belize as a delegate, and I had the pleasure to work with him during that period, to his historic tenure as the first Belizean to hold the post of Assistant Secretary General, he has brought to every role a clear vision, an unwavering dedication, and a deep moral compass. These are important skill sets to survive successfully in a multilateral hemispheric organization. Since assuming office in July 2015, and again upon his unanimous re-election in 2020, Ambassador Mendes has exemplified what it means to lead. He brought not only the seasoned wisdom of a diplomat, but the heart of a public servant, an hemispheric public servant, one who listens with purpose, acts decisively, takes responsibility, and believes that multilateralism must serve the real needs of the people. Whether navigating the deliberations of the Council or supporting member states through sensitive moments, his leadership has been measured, thoughtful, and principled. Importantly, Ambassador Mendes expanded the moral footprint of this organization. Under his guidance, the OAS became more inclusive. The chair already mentioned raising the voices of youth, of indigenous people, Afro-descendants, and communities too often left on the margins of the workings of this organization. And I commit, as Secretary General, that these initiatives will continue. So, Ambassador, you're leaving clearly a legacy in this regard. For Nestor Mendes, in my own view, in my own experience, inclusion was and is not simply a rhetorical goal. It was a practice woven into the daily work of his own acts, but also in this institution. And this is a very important message to the whole membership. When we speak about an hemispheric institution, inclusion, respect must be valued and carried out. Over the past year, Ambassador Mendes remained calm, which is very important, to remain calm under these stressful situations. Determined leadership helped the OAS navigate periods of change, challenge, and opportunity. He led with both wisdom and empathy, uniting member states around shared solutions, grounded in core principles of dialogue, cooperation, and mutual respect. His tenure saw not only the successful organization of the many OAS General Assemblies, including during the unprecedented disruption because of COVID-19, and I must say, in that moment, he did not see a problem, but he saw an opportunity to innovate, and that led to the continuation of the political dialogue in this organization. He championed the digital transformation of key institutional processes, ensuring that diplomacy not only continued, but it also evolved. He reminded us that modernization is not only about tools, but about access, transparency, and institutional resilience. And perhaps most enduring of all is the spirit of constructive engagement he brought to this House of the Americas. Ambassador Mendes believed in building trust, nurturing relationships and partnerships, and seeking common ground, even amid difference. That spirit will remain part of his lasting legacy. So, ladies and gentlemen, those of us who were fortunate enough to work closely with Ambassador Mendes know well his exceptional service and character. His leadership reflects the highest ideals of public service. Belize, and indeed all the Americas and the Caribbean, can take pride in the example he has set. As we say farewell, we do more than closing a chapter. We celebrate one. Ambassador Mendes leaves behind not just achievements, but inspiration to work on and to go by. He has shown us how ethical, courageous, and humble leadership can shape institutions, touch lives. To his colleagues, he has been a wise advisor. To the staff, a supported and trusted leader. And to many around this table, a true partner in the ongoing work of hemispheric cooperation. And of course, he must get inspiration from somewhere. So at this point, I would like to acknowledge the unwavering support of his family, the home base, his wife Elvira, the children, Kiara and Anwar, and his mother, Genoveva. Your quiet strength and constant encouragement have been the foundation of his success. So on behalf of the organization, of the entire organization, I want to thank you for sharing him with us for long hours away from home during this tenure. I also extend our appreciation, as the chair has done, to the team that worked with in the executive office of the Assistant Secretary General, the Office of the General Assembly and the Permanent Council, the Department of Conferences and Meetings, Management, and all the staff of the General Secretariat and also the national offices. Ambassador Mendes' legacy is also reflected in their collective work. As this chapter comes to a close, Ambassador Nestor, know that your legacy will continue to shape the OAS for years to come. On behalf of the organization and all of us who have had the honor of working with you, thank you for your service, your principles, and your unwavering belief in the promise of the Americas. May your next steps bring fulfillment, and may your voice continue to advance the noble cause of hemispheric unity and progress. And I can tell you, you will leave the OAS. The OAS will never leave you. Because once a member of the OAS family, you remain a lifelong member of the Americas. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Secretary General, for these timely remarks. I now invite the delegations to take the floor and share the remarks as we bid farewell to Ambassador Nestor Mendes, Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States. The floor is now open for interventions. Belize, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. SG, Nestor, it's a little sad to see you go, but it's still a proud moment for us. And on behalf of the government of Belize, and on a personal note, as a colleague and a friend, I want to extend our warmest congratulations and deepest appreciation as Ambassador Mendes concludes his exceptional tenure as Assistant Secretary General of this prestigious organization. Ambassador Mendes' remarkable journey from the Belize Foreign Service to his historic election in 2015 as the first Belizean to serve as Assistant Secretary General has been a source of immense national pride and regional admiration. Over the past decade, he has brought the OAS a spirit of energy, innovation, and inclusivity. He has championed the rights of youth, women, and marginalized communities while boldly advocating for climate resilience, democratic renewal, and institutional modernization. His leadership has been transformative, rooted in a deep commitment to the core values of the Inter-American system. As a bridge builder across the Americas, Ambassador Mendes was tireless in his efforts to amplify the voices of small and vulnerable states. He consistently highlighted the disproportionate impacts of climate change and natural disasters on our region and promoted sustainable development through digital transformation and regional connectivity. Under his stewardship, the OAS renewed its focus on partnership for development, meaningful dialogue, and institutional reform. Given his deep understanding of both the Caribbean and Central America, Ambassador Mendes was particularly effective in advancing the shared priorities of CARICOM and SICA, two regional groupings to which Belize proudly belongs. His advocacy ensured that the perspectives and needs of small and developing states receive due attention and respect within the OAS. But on a personal level, I want to express my sincere gratitude for the support and guidance that Ambassador Mendes so generously extended to me as I began my own journey as Belize's ambassador in Washington. As someone entering the diplomatic arena in this capacity for the first time, I could not have asked for a more gracious, experienced, and supportive mentor. His insights, calm demeanor, and constant encouragement made all the difference, and for that, I remain profoundly grateful. That said, following in Ambassador Mendes's footsteps has not been an easy task. The bar he set in diplomacy, leadership, and yes, in hospitality is exceptionally high. In fact, I suspect many of us will struggle most with the absence of those legendary receptions at his home, where Nestor and his wonderful wife Elvira welcomed us with warmth, generosity, and no small measure of flair. Nestor in particular revealed himself to be a master mixologist. That's a talent that we will all very much miss. But as he closes this remarkable chapter, we celebrate a legacy defined by service, substance, and sincerity. Belize is deeply proud of all that Nestor has accomplished, and we feel the inter-American system is undeniably stronger and more inclusive thanks to his vision and his leadership. Ambassador, we thank you for your friendship, your example, and your unwavering commitment to the betterment of our hemisphere. You will be missed, but certainly not forgotten. And I have no doubt our paths will continue to cross, hopefully over one of those unforgettable cocktails at Casa Mendes. Thank you for a job well done.
Thank you, Ambassador, for your contribution. I now invite St. Vincent and the Grenadines to take the floor. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, you have just invited 32 beautiful islands and keys to take the floor, and we thank you for that. Chair of the Permanent Council, permanent and alternate representatives, permanent observers, Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General, Mrs. Elvira Mendez and family, staff of the Secretariat, good morning. Chair, the delegation of St. Vincent and the Grenadines takes this opportunity to express its deep gratitude to Ambassador Nestor Mendez, even as we bid him a fond farewell upon the conclusion of a decade of distinguished service as Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States. Neither statuesque nor colossal in size, Ambassador Mendez, a national of Belize, straddled the expansive regions of the Caribbean and Central America like a colossus, and through his diplomatic acumen and his ability to build bridges and build consensus through the facilitation of dialogue, brought diverse peoples and cultures together with the common goal of enhancing the life chances of all peoples of our Americas. Assistant Secretary General Mendez has used his remarkable diplomatic skills and knowledge to enrich the services of this organization to address the multidimensional challenges experienced by member states in the 21st century. ASG Mendez, among the distinctive elements of your work in the post, we count your invaluable interventions during the special meetings of the Committee on Hemispheric Security on the special security concerns of the small island and low-lying coastal developing states of the Caribbean, in which you advanced an understanding that our hemisphere can indeed, through concerted joint efforts, resolve its crises, be peaceful, and remain united. Yet another facet of your legacy is the demonstration of your calm, fighting spirit in the staging of the Inter-American Week for Indigenous Peoples and for people of African descent. These platforms showcased the cultural and artistic expressions of our culture and identity and raised awareness of our economic, social, cultural, environmental, and religious rights, and of the various challenges encountered by these populations. This formed part of your mission to promote human rights through the full participation and empowerment of all people in life in the hemisphere to enjoy their full enjoyment of such life. In your second inaugural address, Ambassador Mendez, you indicated your objective of finalizing a teacher exchange program at the kindergarten level called Idiomas como Puentes for the Caribbean to become bilingual in order to promote its competitiveness. My delegation hopes that this initiative will remain on the agenda of the Office of the Assistant Secretary General and will come to fruition, as this is also an important aspect of empowering the youth and the next generation. Chair, St. Vincent and the Grenadines takes this opportunity also to extend appreciation to Assistant Secretary General Mendez and to recognize his work in promoting diplomatic engagement when he led an official visit to St. Vincent and the Grenadines in 2023 and attended the celebrations to mark the 44th anniversary of independence following the protocolary address of the Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Ralph E. Gonsalves, who served at the time as pro tempore president of the CILAC. Assistant Secretary General Mendez, we congratulate you on your tenure and thank you for your contribution to improving the effectiveness and functioning of the OAS. We thank you for leading a remarkable team in your office and here express our gratitude to the members of that team for their unstinting work and devotion to the ideals of the American spirit. We will remember your legacy of transformative leadership, your embodiment of the ideals of diplomacy, and your ability to bridge the divides in this diverse hemisphere and to promote inclusion. Indeed, as a hemispheric public servant, you embody the spirit of the Organization of American States and bring to life the vision of its predecessor, the Pan-American Union. You operated with transparency, with the ultimate objective of fostering democratic values, inclusion, peace, and prosperity in the hemisphere, always with humility and with respect for sovereignty, always with an open door. On behalf of the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the alternate representatives and staff at the permanent mission of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, if I have exceeded my time, I apologize. I express gratitude to you, ASG Mendez, success in the future, a clear, bright pathway towards a future of continued service to your hemisphere and to your country. May you, Mrs. Mendez, and your dear family be the beneficiaries of multiple and continued blessings. I thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ambassador. I now offer the floor to the delegation of El Salvador. The floor is yours.
Muchas gracias, señor.
Thank you very much, Chair. My delegation would like to thank you for holding this special session as a well-deserved tribute to the work carried out by Nestor Mendez, the ASG has carried out over the last decade. Our deepest thanks for his contributions to strengthening our organization. El Salvador recognizes that under his management, he has worked tirelessly to promote respectful and firm dialogue, and he has left his legacy and an example of diplomacy, building bridges in order to find shared solutions to some of the most complex situations that we've faced as a region. Today, dear Ambassador Mendez, we believe it's appropriate to remember what happened in 2015 when you took office and when you told us maybe we will never have ideological unanimity at the OAS. However, uniformity in thought is not important. What is important is seeking understanding and building shared objectives through respectful cooperation as we work on different topics with the clear aim of building on our points of convergence and not our divergences, end quote. And you, with your exemplary service, have known how to represent that commitment day in and day out, that value of inter-American relations, and you have worked to promote tireless cultural activities, inter-American commemorations, and constantly provided support to youth through academic activities and the model OAS-GA, which sows the seeds of identity for our people and trains future diplomats for our states. Ambassador Mendez, we would like to recognize your leadership, which has been deeply human and very close to all of us. We particularly note your great human qualities, and you have left an undeniable mark with all of your efforts, but above all, with your dedicated service to the values of our organization. From El Salvador, we are grateful to how close you are to your Central American brothers and sisters and your constant support for our country. We wish you most success in this new chapter in your life, and we are certain that you will continue to work in other spaces to strengthen dialogue, peace, and cooperation in our hemisphere. Thank you very much.
Thank you, El Salvador. I now offer the floor to the delegation of Grenada.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Saluting you on the assumption of this role. Distinguished colleague representatives, alternate representatives, observers, Secretary General Ramdin, guests, family, Assistant Secretary General Mendez. It falls to me, your humble servant, to say farewell today. And as I do so, I acknowledge the consistently warm relations that have defined our delegation's engagement with your office, Mr. Assistant Secretary General. From the days of Ambassador Angus Friday's leadership, through my immediate predecessor, Ambassador Smith, who, as we know, became a trusted member of your cabinet, our bond has always been one of mutual respect and warmth. During your significant time in office, the OAS, our hemisphere, and the world indeed, have faced many challenges and fundamental changes. From the increasing climate events that so painfully impact our member states to complex migration patterns across our borders, your leadership has been a steady guide. Facing these issues, your firm commitment to this focused interventions along the lines of this organization's core principles of democracy, human rights, security, and integral development has been both encouraging and reassuring. We in Grenada particularly appreciate your consistent help in communication with our OAS internal bodies and representatives. This dedication to fostering collaboration and ensuring that collaboration is fostered within our own organization has been invaluable. We have also admired your tireless work in strengthening relations with our external partners, making the OAS's values and efforts more visible and accessible to citizens across this diverse hemisphere. Furthermore, your tested efforts to achieve more rights for more people across various areas, from human security and defense to gender equity, have clearly shown the importance of our organization through the organization's thorough approach to human rights. Your competitiveness, your comprehensive and inclusive approach is one we must continue to uphold. Mr. Assistant Secretary General, we still call you. Grenada is incredibly proud of your excellent work in this vital role. And I believe this sentiment is shared by the notably smaller member states of our sub-region, the OECS, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. You have highlighted the capacity and contribution of Caribbean leadership on the hemispheric stage, of which we are surely proud. You have given life to the belief that our region is a clear example of the larger issues faced by member states across the hemisphere and the capacity that exists within to resolve, to address, to bring to a new life. You've consistently testified that we, more than most, suffer the brunt of severe storms and extreme weather events caused by climate change, and it's a harsh reality that our people face every year. And every year of your tenure, you have been with us on this. Being a Central American son as well, you've often reminded us that we also serve as the crucial link between North and South America. And in this position, we deal daily with the challenges of things like illicit crime and trafficking between these two larger continents. That we witness firsthand the change in migration patterns in the region. You continuously showed us we have a role to play in the benefit of our work in the OAS towards resolution and of poverty and the like. And in that we are made up of nations and territories that are deeply affected by the lasting impacts of colonialism, and its many human rights abuses and conflicts were part of your discourse to us. It is precisely because of this unique position that we especially commend your leadership. You brought not only a well-informed Caribbean perspective to the role of Assistant Secretary General, but in doing so, you offered a truly complete hemispheric understanding of the challenges we all face, and importantly, the practical solutions that are needed to address them. We applaud your diligent efforts to advance, in your words, the imperative of sustainable development. This philosophy is absolutely vital for improving the quality of life of our people, sustainably and healthily, and for protecting them from environmental changes. Your legacy, Mr. Assistant Secretary General Nestor Mendez, illuminates As you step to the new page, we in Grenada extend our most sincere appreciation for your outstanding service to the people of the Americas. We wish you, Nestor Mendez, and your family, continued success and great fulfillment in all your future endeavors. Your legacy illuminates the path forward, and we, as member states, honor you by deepening our cooperation, amplifying our shared responsibility, and tirelessly pursuing the vision of a more just, inclusive, and secure hemisphere for all peoples. I thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Obviously, we got so much more to say to our dear colleague. I appreciate and thank you for your patience and your permit.
Thank you, Grenada. I now offer the floor to the delegation of Panama.
Thank you very much, Chair. On behalf of the Panamanian delegation, I'm honored to take part in this special session of the Permanent Council to pay tribute to the ASG Ambassador Nestor Mendez at the closing of his 10-year run at the helm of this organization. Since he began his post in July 2015 and renewed that in March 2020, he has been working alongside the subsidiary bodies, the Permanent Council, and the Secretariats, contributing to the efficiency of these spaces for political deliberation. Throughout his time here, Ambassador Mendez has actively promoted initiatives to strengthen youth leadership, and his office was key in expanding the model OAS-GA for students in high school and universities. This is a platform that has allowed thousands of young people to simulate international negotiations and acquire great diplomatic skill. Beyond the MOA, he promoted the Forum of the Americas and the Youth Business Fund, as well as TIC Americas, empowering new generations as they participate in democracy. Under his leadership, I'd like to highlight several Inter-American Weeks to shed light on culture, rights, and challenges faced by historically marginalized communities. The Inter-American Week for Indigenous Peoples and the Inter-American Week for Afro-Descendants, for example. These are spaces to promote dialogue on racial justice, preserving culture, and social inclusion. His commitment to resilience and climate change, as well have been ongoing, and incorporating the environment in the OAS agenda and concrete actions in the face of this challenge. Panama has supported Ambassador Mendez, and in every chairmanship of the Permanent Council, we have always noted his willingness to provide professional expertise and support. We have always seen him closely listen to our initiatives and effectively manage them step by step, showing that unparalleled accessibility, which is characteristic of his inclusive and well-balanced leadership. Thank you very much, Ambassador, to your team, particularly Ambassador Lecilia Prince, the head of Cabinet, as well as others who have worked in his office over the last 10 years. Today, they will continue their endeavors, and thank you for your ongoing support, for your quiet work, and ensuring the good operations of the Secretariat. Ambassador Mendez, thank you so much for your dedication, your attachment to democratic values, and your vision of a more modern OAS, closer to the people. Your management has been professional and an inspiration, leaving a legacy to continue to impact the path of our organization. We wish you most success in your future endeavors, and we fully trust that you will continue to be a beacon of leadership for our region. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Delegation of Panama. Next, we offer the floor to the Delegation of Canada.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Assistant Secretary General Mendez, on behalf of Canada and all people in our permanent missions, it's an honor to be here today to pay tribute to all of your accomplishments during your term as Assistant Secretary General of the OAS. We would like to first thank you for your devotion, your dedication, and for your precious contributions to advance the common objectives we have. Here we're talking about human rights in the Americas, and particularly the groups as well as equality. From the very outset of your term in 2015, in all of the work that you did helping the Secretary General, you tirelessly worked to move ahead with all of the deliberations for very important issues. In English now.
Challenges facing our continent has been commendable. We are thankful for your proactive engagement on critical issues such as climate change and natural disaster resilience across the Americas. Your dedicated work over the years to advocate for women's rights, gender equality, the rights of Afro-descendants and Indigenous peoples demonstrate your remarkable commitment to human rights and inclusion. You have consistently highlighted the role also of national offices that they can play in supporting the overall objectives of the OAS. Nestor, we are delighted to have had the opportunity to work together and to have developed a close collaboration in all these areas that are so dear to us. We have so appreciated your leadership style, your openness, your composed and approachable demeanor, all of which has contributed significantly to fostering a welcoming and collaborative environment. We would also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the entire office of the ASG, whose efforts, often behind the scenes, are crucial to the successful daily operations of the OAS. In particular, their role in facilitating and supporting critical meetings cannot be overstated. Ambassador Mendez, we are truly grateful to have walked alongside this journey with you, united by our common values. Canada extends a heartfelt thanks for your inspiring leadership, your steadfast dedication, your bold commitment to the advancement of the OAS. We wish you continued success in all of your endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegation of Canada. The floor now goes to the Delegation of Brazil.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Brazil today would like to offer its deep felt tribute to Ambassador Mendez, who ends his term as Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States after a decade of dedication to the organization. Ambassador Mendez always had the qualities of a great diplomat, academic career, respectable commitment, unquestionable commitment to the values of the inter-American system. In all of his work, he stood out, making him a point of reference for well-balanced understanding in the region and dialogue during his tough times during COVID-19. Ambassador Mendez very competently led everything with great responsibility in the transition that allowed the OAS to stay relevant and up and running. He was dedicated to the institutional processes and opened up spaces for dialogue, for multilateral communication, which was more necessary than ever. I would like to underscore also his firm and discreet work as Secretary of the Permanent Council, supported by his very competent team. As I personally saw during my recent term as chair of the council, as of April this year, Ambassador Mendez worked equitably and effectively to build bridges between different positions, helping to guarantee the flow of work and keeping an environment of mutual respect. I should also like to underscore his decisive role when it comes to decisions that looked at indigenous peoples and the Inter-American Week of Afro-Descendants. For Brazil, these initiatives are very significant and reaffirm the commitment of the organization to value cultural diversity and to overcome all forms of discrimination and to promote rights of historically marginalized communities. Once again, I should like to reiterate that Ambassador Mendez sterlingly and faithfully carried out all of the work in his remit, as recognized during all of the tributes that were paid to him during the 55th General Assembly in Antigua and Barbuda. Ambassador Mendez, Brazil is not only grateful to you, but we also acknowledge your example of public service and your dedication for the common good. Your legacy will continue to be an inspiration for all of those who believe in the strength of dialogue and the relevance of multilateralism for our region. We wish you, Ambassador Mendez, and your family good health, happiness, and success in the new stage of your life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. We now offer the floor to the delegation of the Dominican Republic.
Mr. Chairman, Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General, Mrs. Elvira Mendez, Kiara, and Anwar, my colleagues, I am very honored to echo the comments of farewell to Ambassador Nestor Mendez, who held the Assistant Secretary General position of the OAS, carrying out his functions with a high sense of responsibility, commitment, and professionalism. Ambassador Mendez has always stood out because of his firm multilateralism outlook, which was strengthened over the course of his long-time diplomatic career in the organization. He was always characterized by upholding close, intimate relations with member states and be a builder of bridges and to look for the highest standards in the way the Permanent Council worked as secretary of that body. I know Mr. Mendez, and I've known him for many years when we were both alternate delegates from our respective countries. I have seen how he represented his nation as an alternate in a very dignified way, and also as a permanent representative, and also how he fulfilled the mandate that he received when member states of the organization elected him to be the Assistant Secretary General for the last decade. Ambassador Mendez, thank you very much for all of these years of service, for the legacies that you leave with the OAS, which undoubtedly has given very important contribution to the Permanent Council, to the way the national offices work, and the help for the most vulnerable in the region, who you took on and gave visibility through the activities that your office organized. I should like to avail myself of this opportunity to wish you the best in your future that now begins, and alongside your family that I have had the opportunity to share nice moments. All the best to you, champion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. Next, we offer the floor to the delegation of Antigua and Barbuda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sir, I apologize for the absence of Ambassador Sanders, who unfortunately now has COVID. Ambassador Mendez, though, I understand that he has conveyed to you privately the high regard in which you are held by the delegation of Antigua and Barbuda, and I quote, how your sound advice contributed to the smooth work of the Council and for clarity of issues that might otherwise have been inflamed by opposing positions of member states. So here and now, I would simply reiterate my government's profound appreciation to you for your years of service in general, and particularly for your stewardship of the General Assembly that we just hosted. It was an honor to have worked with you, and we wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, delegation of Antigua and Barbuda. Next, we offer the floor to the delegation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Secretary General Ramdin, and for the final official time, Honorable Assistant Secretary General Mendez, members of the General Secretariat, excellent permanent, interim, and alternate representatives, permanent observers, proud family members, and other distinguished guests, everyone. My delegation is deeply honored to be able to pay tribute to an individual who has served this organization with distinction. However, his exemplary service, Chair, is probably an inevitable extension of the man who is Nestor Mendez. When, as a representative of St. Kitts and Nevis in a different capacity, I first met Ambassador Mendez, probably in the summer of 2011 or 2012 or so. My initial impression was that this young man, the permanent representative of Belize to the OAS, is an accomplished embodiment of unpretentiousness, completely down to earth, with a ubiquitous sense of humor. Probably we exchanged hellos 1 or 2 times after that, but the next time we shook hands, or rather fist bumped, Nestor Mendez was the Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States. Nonetheless, his humility sustained, grounded in the deep sense of purpose and conviction that I later found out was developed over years of dedicated service that defined an illustrious diplomatic career in Guatemala, the United Kingdom, the United States of America, and Canada. Small wonder he was so fit for purpose for this assignment, as he exemplified the qualities that prove that strength in leadership is most effectively predicated on personal bonds of friendship, earned respect, and ultimate trust. This, coupled with the willingness to devote the necessary time and effort to working hard at the task, compelled his team, his secretariat, led by his Chief of Staff, Lacelia Prince, to emulate his posture and deliver beyond expectations to the benefit of all delegations, to the benefit of this organization, to the benefit of the hemisphere at large. How then, Chair and colleagues, could ASG Nestor Mendez's efforts by osmosis or diffusion not have influenced the entire world? Naturally, his re-election was unanimous. So, Chair, St. Kitts and Nevis joins with all the other delegations in wishing ASG all the best as he closes this phase of his life and he moves forward to realize whatever subsequent aspirations and endeavors on which he sets his sights. May he continue to prove that a smile and a good sense of humor are not necessarily indicative of a lack of seriousness, but can very well be the motivating factors that elicit determination and produce positive results, progress. May the Most High Jah continue to guide his path, and may it please you, Chair.
Thank you, delegation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We now offer the floor to the delegation of Mexico.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The delegation of Mexico very affectionately bids farewell to Ambassador Mendez, who we recognize for his constructive role during the 10 years that he had the role of Assistant Secretary General, as well as for his respectful way of being open to dialogue at all times. We truly value his commitment to the promotion and defense of human rights of indigenous peoples and Afro-descendants, agendas that he promoted with conviction as well as leadership during the COVID-19 pandemic, which during virtual meetings allowed the organization to continue its work. We also truly appreciate very especially the team that worked with him during the 2 terms. The work of each and every one of them has been very important to fulfill the mandates of member states. And our delegation recognizes that and values it. Ambassador Mendez, we appreciate your affection towards Mexico as well as your willingness to facilitate work in our permanent representation, which reflects your professionalism as an international public servant and your privileged position between Mexico and Belize, a sister nation that brings us together with close ties of respect and friendship. We wish you the very best in your new future, and we recognize your service to the inter-American system. And thank you for your multilateral outlook. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ambassador. Next, we offer the floor to the delegation of Colombia.
Gracias, señor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, permanent representatives, alternate Secretary General Ambassador Ramdin, and Ambassador Mendez and your family. Ladies and gentlemen, initially I speak on behalf of the Group of 10, made up of the countries of South America plus Mexico. So along that line, I'm very honored to take the floor to pay tribute to the well-deserved Assistant Secretary General, Nelson Mendez, and thank him for his dedication and his generosity in fulfilling the objectives of the OAS and its member states over the course of the last 10 years. We have to recognize his capacity for dialogue to strike consensuses, his humanist approach, and his diplomatic ability to iron out crises with calm and a strategic sense of purpose and a long-term vision that this organization needs. In addition to the interpersonal characteristics that we benefited from as well, his active presence in dialogue and hemispheric cooperation have been witness to his commitment to the values that bring the Americas together. But in addition to that, now on behalf of Colombia, I should like to express our deepest thanks for his tireless support behind the efforts towards peace in our country and promotion of human rights. His leadership as Assistant Secretary General of the OAS has been crucial to make visible and to go along with the peace process and to channel initiatives that promote integral development in our marginalized communities in favor of rights for young people, women, vulnerable groups, and those who have been historically discriminated against, and other efforts when it comes to climate change and natural disasters. Especially we value his leadership when it comes to 2 topics of greatest relevance in the hemisphere: Afro-descendants and indigenous peoples. These 2 issues under his leadership have made things very visible through the organization of the Week for Indigenous Peoples and Afro-descendants, putting on the table relevant dialogue favoring promotion of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the Americas. It has been an honor to cooperate with those efforts that have allowed us to make important progress in the region, and where we should like to particularly highlight his support for the Department of Social Inclusion and the entire department of those who have accompanied his work to end with the success of consultations on priority issues for a future Inter-American Declaration of Rights of Peoples and Afro-descendants that we are promoting alongside Brazil. We trust that this process will have the support of member states to make progress to adopt this declaration, which is going to be historic. I should also like to strike the moment to call on all member states for us to take on topics relative to improving the effectiveness and efficiency in the organization. We truly believe that it is necessary to strengthen the activities and make the topics a priority that are in the remit of the Assistant Secretary General as part and parcel of the road forward for meeting the needs of the hemisphere. We trust that as states, we will strike agreements to strengthen the OAS so that it can continue to be a relevant organization which can get tangible results for our peoples. Secretary Mendez, once again, I should like to renew our sentiments of friendship to you and your very dear family, your dear wife and your children, and to wish you the best of success in your future activities. We truly appreciate your ethic leadership and your permanent commitment to the OAS. Your legacy in the region is an example of diplomacy in the service as equity and well-being for everyone. Thank you very much, and all the best to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. Next, we offer the floor to the delegation of the United States of America.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, colleagues. The United States joins fellow member states today in recognizing and expressing our great appreciation to Ambassador Nestor Mendez for his decade of service as Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States. Ambassador Mendez has played an important role in sustaining and improving the day-to-day functions and direction of this organization. From overseeing the orderly conduct of this council and its committees to managing preparations for the General Assembly, he ensured the OAS operates with professionalism, continuity, and decorum. In often politically sensitive environments, his steady hand and his commitment to process contributed to the integrity of this body. We recognize also Ambassador Mendez's efforts related to institutional reform, an area that remains a high priority for the United States. At the recent General Assembly in Antigua and Barbuda, our delegation stressed the need for the OAS to focus on delivering measurable results and sustaining financial discipline. And while ultimately it is the responsibility of member states to take up this agenda, Ambassador Mendez has contributed during his time here to efforts aimed at streamlining institutional processes, improving transparency, and maintaining the credibility of this organization. Ambassador Mendez also embodied the values of pragmatic, people-centered diplomacy. His earlier role as Belize's ambassador in Washington gave him a unique appreciation for the importance of cooperation between the U.S. and the OAS, and we worked with him on various shared priorities over the past 10 years. His welcoming and collegial approach to member states, regardless of size or political alignment, left a lasting impression. Whether presiding over high-stakes council sessions or helping delegations navigate bureaucratic hurdles, he made this institution more functional for all. And if I can just add one personal recollection, that the image that is going to stay with me, about 6 months ago, there was a permanent council meeting that very quickly got bogged down in some procedural disagreements, legitimate issues. And we spent hours downstairs talking here, talking there, trying to resolve these issues. And there was one point I remember there was a group of about 18 or 20 permanent representatives and others, trying to cluster in, listen what was being said. And right in the center of it was Nestor. I would say he'd taken his tie off, but I'm sure he wasn't wearing a tie in the first place. But, with his sleeves rolled up figuratively, if not literally, speaking Spanish, speaking English, speaking to this group, speaking to that group, not taking the side of any one group, but just trying to find common ground, just trying to establish common ground. And that image for me, Nestor, is what I'm going to remember of that day, but of your work and your approach and your service to this organization. On behalf of the United States, we thank you for your partnership, your professionalism, and your deep commitment to inter-American cooperation. And we wish you great success in all that lies ahead.
Thank you, delegation of the United States of America. Next, we offer the floor to the delegation of Honduras.
Good morning. Would tell you that this is the first time that I'm wearing a shirt jack, and this is also the time that I'm going to pay tribute to our friend Nestor Mendez. Well, they said that we could wear these shirt jacks, but I just wanted to say that Ambassador Artes said we couldn't, but no, it was Ambassador Thomas actually, so they didn't say anything about it, but thanks to you, I can wear my shirt jack, and we can pay tribute to the Guayabero or the shirt jack. I really don't want to dwell on that, but it's the worst danger, the ones who came before me, and people who already spoke want us to hurry up, but I don't want to jump in and repeat. We are smiling and laughing with my dear Nestor Mendez. Well, I only remember reading a book, but I remember that I don't want to have any doubts about anything, but Nestor was there as well. And I don't see this as a farewell, but I see this as a see you later with all the technology and the transportation means and whatnot that we have. Everything is ready, and I really don't see why we have to have the feeling like it's a funeral. I would be sad, Nestor, if we spoke about the past and then didn't convert that into the present so that we can take advantage of this day and enjoy it. And I say this because 10 days ago, my wife left the Department of Education in New York, and I went to the party, and it was a party. And why? Because I can tell you what you did was very successful, and of course, it's certainly high time to congratulate you for everything that you've done. Thank you very much, Nestor.
Thank you, Ambassador. We now offer the floor to the delegation of Dominica.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Secretary General, His Excellency Albert Ramdin, Assistant Secretary General, Ambassador Nestor Mendez, permanent representatives and alternates, permanent observer missions, ladies and gentlemen. I bring greetings from the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, Foreign Minister Dr. Vince Henderson, and the government and people of the Commonwealth of Dominica. It is with deep appreciation and sincere respect that the Dominican delegation joins other missions in warmly bidding farewell to Ambassador Mendez as you conclude your tenure as Assistant Secretary General. Your exemplary leadership and steadfast dedication to the principles and goals of the OAS have made a significant and enduring impact on the hemisphere. During your tenure, you have embodied the values of multilateralism, inclusion, and cooperation, which are central to the organization and deeply resonates with the people of Dominica. We are particularly grateful for your attention to the specific concerns of small and vulnerable states and your ongoing efforts to ensure that the voices of all member states, regardless of size and geography, are heard and respected. Your willingness to engage in dialogue, commitment to transparency, and sincere desire to strengthen solidarity across the Americas have not gone unnoticed. As you embark on your next chapter of your journey, please accept our heartfelt thanks for your service and our best wishes for continued success in your future endeavors. You leave behind a legacy of diplomacy, integrity, and inclusive leadership that will inspire those who follow. May you carry with you the gratitude and admiration of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you, delegation of the Commonwealth of Dominica. We now offer the floor to the delegation of Chile.
Gracias, señor.
Thank you, Chair. Chile would like to echo the words of thanks and best wishes to those who have spoken before me, to the Secretary General, the outgoing ASG, Nestor Mendez. And I would like to talk about the ongoing support and work that he carried out at his office and the Permanent Council, and I'd like to thank you for his leadership. However, in Chile, we believe that this is a very opportune moment to also recognize the agendas that Ambassador Mendez was so dedicated to: empowering youth and women, the rights of indigenous and Afro-descendant communities in the Americas, the environment, and specifically the preventive attention he gave to natural disasters resulting from climate change. These are just some examples that reflect his strategic vision and his attachment to various sectors of society in the Americas that have been left behind by development, but who have been hit harder by natural disasters, climate change, and the pandemic. This is fundamental for the future of our organization's agendas. So thank you very much, Ambassador Mendez. And once again, I would like to echo the words of thanks of all of the delegations that preceded me, wishing you the very best. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, delegation of Chile. We have next the delegation of Bahamas.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Secretary General, distinguished colleagues, excellencies, friends, and a warm welcome to the Mendez family. I can recall vividly it was a hot winter morning on January 21st, 1971, in Orange Walk District in Belize, when our mother brought you home from the hospital. I looked into the cradle and I said, "He shall be named Nestor." In Greek mythology, Nestor was the king of Pylos, renowned for his wisdom, diplomacy, and calm counsel. His name has come to symbolize wisdom born of experience, sound judgment and moral clarity, a trusted and respected elder statesman. How befitting that the boy in the cradle would one day grow up into a man whose leadership would earn the trust and admiration of colleagues across this hemisphere. Today, we do more than mark the conclusion of a term. We celebrate the legacy of service, integrity, and vision that Ambassador Nestor Mendez has brought to this organization. A son of Belize, a citizen of the globe, and a champion of multilateralism, Nestor has served the inter-American system with clarity and purpose and with depth of heart. From the very outset of his tenure as Assistant Secretary General, he carried out his duties with grace, steadiness, and calm authority that reassured member states, supported this council, and elevated the tone and professionalism of the General Secretariat. His stewardship over the General Assembly process has been nothing short of exemplary. The meticulous preparation, the quiet diplomacy, the insistence on transparency and fairness, these were never just technical achievements. They were acts of respect for the sovereign equality of states and for the integrity of our institution. And perhaps one of the most meaningful reflections on his wisdom lies in the leadership on empowering youth and the Inter-American Week for Indigenous Peoples and recognition of people of African descent in the Americas. No es simplemente un defensor.
He is not just a defender in his soul.
To advance equity, he must first affirm dignity. And through his efforts, this organization opened its doors wider to his history, to truth, and to justice. But behind every act of public leadership lies a story of private sacrifice. And so today, we extend our deepest gratitude to the family who loaned Nestor to the endeavors of the Americas. To Elvira, Kiara, Anwar, and to our mom, thank you. We know the weight of long hours, of distance, and of the demands of diplomacy. Please know that we are all in your debt. And no tribute to Nestor would be complete without recognizing the extraordinary team that stood with him. His circle of trust, his professional family, whom I did not mention at the General Assembly, but I now fix my faux pas, to Ambassador Lacelia Prince, Ambassador Yolande Smith, Ambassador Francisco Lainez, Kendall Belisle, Carmen Lucia de la Pava, Sandra Waketa, Pamela Contreras, Rodrigo Cortez, Roxanne Corbenez, and apologies for missing anybody else. Each of you has played a vital role in shaping the work and legacy of the Office of the Assistant Secretary General, and we are ever so grateful. Nestor, your time with us has been marked by humility, integrity, and a deep commitment to lifting others. As this chapter closes, you leave not only a record, but you leave an indelible legacy. On behalf of my delegation and on behalf of the government and the people of the Commonwealth of Bahamas, I send a particular thank you from Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis and Foreign Minister Frederick Mitchell. They send their highest regards. We wish you continued success, peace, and fulfillment in all the journeys yet to come. I thank you, Chair, and I thank the Council for its kind attention.
Thank you, Ambassador. The floor now goes to the delegation of Costa Rica.
Chair, distinguished delegates, on behalf of Costa Rica, I'd like to express our most sincere recognition and gratitude to Ambassador Nestor Mendez for his outstanding performance at the helm of the OAS General Secretariat over the last decade. His commitment to the values of multilateralism, inclusion, and dialogue have been a great example. During complex times for our organization, his leadership stood out for its balance and firm commitment to democratic principles and respect between states. His capacity for building bridges between subregions, cultures, and diverse perspectives has been key in preserving this space as an institution and forum for listening, respect, and seeking consensus. We'd like to particularly highlight his work to drive Inter-American Weeks for Afro-descendants and indigenous communities. These are spaces that not only contribute to shedding light on the contributions of these people throughout history, they also allow us to focus on their rights and aspirations at the very heart of the hemispheric agenda. Ambassador Mendez has promoted the diplomacy of his country with dignity and clearly promoted his commitment to human rights, sustainable development, and cooperation, amplifying voices in the inter-American system. His legacy will go down in the initiatives that he promoted, but also in the appreciation and respect, as well as great affection that he has shown to his colleagues throughout the entire region. We wish him the most success in this new chapter in his life, and we are certain that his trajectory will continue being a source of inspiration for those of us who believe in diplomacy and the common good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, delegation of Costa Rica. We now offer the floor to the delegation of Trinidad and Tobago.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, Secretary General Ramdin, Assistant Secretary General Mendez, Chair, the Trinidad and Tobago delegation joins other member states in extending heartfelt gratitude to ASG Mendez for his leadership and commitment to the Organization of American States during his tenure. Not only a son of the CARICOM region, but a proven son of the hemisphere, ASG Mendez administered his duties with fairness, integrity, compassion, neutrality, and humility. We can all agree that his guidance and mastery of diplomacy have navigated this permanent council through some challenging times. His passion and tireless efforts towards upholding the foundational principles of the OAS will leave a lasting mark on this organization and the people it serves. His work in the areas of climate change, education, security, and in promoting and elevating the rights of women, Afro-descendant and indigenous peoples, as well as other vulnerable groups, among other achievements, must be recognized. ASG Mendez It has been an absolute pleasure for my delegation to work alongside you and your team in striving towards a more prosperous hemisphere. On behalf of the government and the people of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, I thank you for your exceptional service and your belief in the vast potential of the Americas. Best of luck to you and your family, Ambassador Mendez. Chair, I thank you.
Thank you, Delegation of Trinidad and Tobago. We now offer the floor to the delegation of Peru.
Señor Presidente.
Chair. Peru echoes the expressions of thanks to Ambassador Nestor Mendez for his extraordinary performance as ASG of the Organization of American States. Over the last 10 years, Ambassador Mendez has stood out for his efficiency and professionalism, and he has taken care to ensure that the OAS is able to leverage its available resources as much as possible while promoting pertinent initiatives such as the Inter-American Week for Afro-Descendants and the Inter-American Week for Indigenous Populations. Ambassador Mendez has not had a political or his own ideological agenda. Rather, he has been guided by one single principle: strengthening the institutionality of the OAS as a space for coming together for peoples of the Americas. We recognize and celebrate that this has continued to be the case. Ambassador Mendez has also stood out thanks to his cordial attitude, and he has always been an attentive friend, willing to work alongside us in diplomacy. That has been the expression of a genuine feeling of empathy and understanding that belong to a truly good man. And we strongly believe that Ambassador Mendez will continue to display the same human qualities in his new endeavors as we have seen in him here. Peru wishes him and his family the very best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. We now offer the floor to the delegation of Guyana. Guyana is not present, so we move to the next delegation. We offer the floor to the delegation of Ecuador.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General, Ecuador would like to express recognition for your dedicated management at the helm of the General Secretariat of this organization over the last decade. And during this time, you have driven highly sensitive initiatives that are particularly relevant for all member states. This is in line with the vision that Ecuador has held at this organization. We recognize that during his term, he has promoted initiatives that are in line with the fundamental principles that guide our multilateral activities, such as driving active participation and strengthening regional dialogue. These efforts included consolidating the inclusion and visibility of Afro-descendant and indigenous populations, as well as decisive promotion of human rights and sustainable development. These are issues that are priorities to Ecuador as part of our agenda for hemispheric cooperation that is more inclusive, equitable, and effective. These activities are fully in line with our region's foreign policy as we seek concrete results and institutional strengthening. Diplomacy and dialogue, cooperation, coordinating our efforts in the face of shared challenges from a diverse, inclusive, and interconnected America. As we close this cycle, we aspire to continue and deepen the work that you carried out, Ambassador, and we are highly aware that the advancements achieved are in themselves already a solid foundation to build the future. We wish you most success and best of luck in your personal and professional endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Delegation of Ecuador. The floor now goes to the Delegation of Bolivia.
Thank you, Chair. Please allow me to begin by saluting the Secretary General of the OAS, Albert Ramdim, and our distinguished ASD, Nestor Mendez. We are paying tribute to him in this special session of the Permanent Council. We would also like to salute the chair and all members. The plurinational state of Bolivia recognizes and greatly values the important work carried out extraordinarily by the ASG of the OAS, Ambassador Nestor Mendez. Over the last 10 years, he has been a great professional, showing his incredible experience as he ran a fundamental body of the OAS, which is the General Secretariat as ASG. And I would also like to mention this, and I'm doing it out of the interest of time, all of the activities that Ambassador Mendez organized and directed were so important. The Inter-American Week for Indigenous Persons and the Inter-American Week for Afro-Descendants. Personally, I would also like to express the great value of the humility with which, over the last 6 years, approximately, I have noted in Ambassador Mendez, and this is one of the most important traits. Additionally, Chair, please allow me now to read the message sent by Ambassador Arce, who is currently traveling in our country, Bolivia, and I would like to quote, "Brother Nestor, please allow me to call you this, brother, as our indigenous people in Bolivia identify those that we respect and value. Your work over the last decade from the ASG position has truly been extraordinary and greatly productive as well. You always focused on the institution, professionalism, implementing standards, and the appropriate techniques for impeccable, exemplary management. Your diplomatic skills in building consensus was also decisive for the well-being of the OAS. And beyond that, you have shown extraordinary human qualities in order to hold an independent, appropriate line during difficult times throughout the last decade. For various reasons, which we are all aware of, your message, your honest voice, your attachment to the truth, and your charisma have always been an extraordinary component to this organization. And I would also like to give special mention to all of the support that you provided to the Bolivian mission when we chaired the Permanent Council from January to March of this year. And I will always remember and take with me the honor of having spent so many important sessions sitting by your side, working under your counsel and your honest, unbiased guidance. Please also allow me to congratulate and thank your valuable team, Ambassador Celia Prince, Lucia, Rodrigo, Roxanne, and each and every one of the members of the team who have been working alongside you, showing their great professionalism and skill, contributing their great human qualities to this organization. And with my modest experience in public institutions in my country, believe me that if something speaks well of leaders, it is the way that with which their employees and team members express their appreciation. And in your case, you take the greatest testimony of affection and respect from your working team. Their mark has been made on the pages of institutional excellence of this organization. Brother Nestor, you can always count on my friendship and respect. With your brilliant career, and you have so much ground left to cover, so much left to build, and those who know you are certain that wherever you may be, you will always shine with your voice of excellence. And I would like to close these words by paying special tribute to your wife, your partner, who has always stood by your side. And I send you warm hugs until we see one another again, my brother. Hector Arce, Permanent Representative of Bolivia to the OAS. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, delegation of Bolivia. Guyana is back with us, so I would offer the floor to the delegation of Guyana.
Thank you, Chair. S.G. Ramdin, colleagues, A.S.G. Mendez, his family members and friends. Guyana joins other member states to bid farewell to our esteemed Assistant Secretary General and friend, Nestor Mendez, who has dedicated a considerable amount of his time and energy towards forging an OAS that reflects and responds to the needs of the countries and peoples of the Americas. ASG Mendez has been a comforting friend and guide to me since I arrived here 4 years ago, a senior, as the COVID-19 epidemic had begun to wane, and additionally uneasy at living outside of Guyana for the first time since the mid-1960s. Guyana and Guyanese had first heard the name Ambassador Nestor Mendez of Belize, perhaps late 2014, early 2015, when there was talk of our ambassador then in being in the race with Ambassador Mendez of Belize for the post of ASG of the OAS. There could not have been a better person that Guyana could have lost out to. ASG Mendez, you have always been open, welcoming, and quick to share your knowledge and experience. You utilized your acumen and wisdom underpinned by an inclusive, equitable, and cooperative approach to aid in building a better and stronger OAS. This is particularly evident in the considerable work undertaken to give recognition and raise awareness and to modernize and drive innovation in aspects of the organization's work, even in circumstances of limited financial resources. I have grown accustomed to ASG Mendez announcing, "Mr. Chair, we have a quorum." I join in noting ASG's enthusiasm for the annual Afro-Descendants Week and Indigenous Peoples Week. I sensed an unexpected kindred experience during Indigenous Week a year or two ago when ASG Mendez spoke about cutting and burning a field with grandparents and learning how to make music to call the wind. I had had similar experience, particularly whistling to call the wind to help separate full grains of paddy rice from the empty ones. ASG Mendez, as you step out of this role, I convey to you the highest regard and deep affinity of the government and people of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. We thank you, and here make a special mention of your team for your service and dedication to the people of the Americas. The old adage calls on us to give credit where it is due. Such credit is owed to you and the officials who made your tenure such a success. And it is with great pleasure that we extend that credit. We wish you all the best. Rest assured of our respect, admiration, and continued support. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ambassador. We now offer the floor to the delegation of Haiti.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, Mr. Secretary General, ASG, ladies and gentlemen, dear ambassadors, permanent representatives, observer states, dear friends, distinguished guests. It is a great honor for me and also a great privilege to take part in this special session dedicated to bidding adieu to our ASG ambassador, Nestor Mendez. I met Ambassador Mendez during my first round at the OAS about 15 years ago, and I had the opportunity to see him at work as an ambassador representing his country, Belize, before he became ASG at the OAS. Beyond his remarkable leadership, Ambassador Mendez also has displayed incredible human qualities. He incarnates this deep sense of humanity and friendship. And Ambassador Mendez, of course, comes from Belize, which is a country of Central America, and there is no doubt that he is a man of the continent, a universal man. And Ambassador Mendez has always displayed such a deep sense of brotherhood. And so it's an honor to salute you with the same human warmth and words, my brother. I have never heard Ambassador Mendez say good evening, good night. He has always greeted me with those same words, my brother, which is so much warmer. Mr. Assistant Secretary General, my dear brother, your legacy will have an impact on our hemisphere organization for a very long time. There are so many initiatives about the position of Indigenous persons, Afro-descendants, and also I would like to salute your team, who have done such an excellent job in supporting you through these initiatives. Your dedication to the cause of Haiti and to the issue of SIDS are a show of your sense of leadership. And I would like to conclude my words noting that during your first election as ASG, Ambassador Mendez stated that it was the most beautiful day of his life, and today, as we bid him farewell, we can only wish him many more beautiful days in his life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, delegation of Haiti. The floor is now offered to the delegation of Paraguay.
Señor Presidente.
Chair, permanent representatives, Ambassador Albert Ramdin, Secretary General of the OAS, Nestor Mendez, ASG. My delegation fully supports the words that have been expressed by the distinguished delegation of Colombia, recognizing the outstanding management and leadership, as well as the strong commitment of the ASG over a decade of service at the helm of this organization, and to all of the nations in our hemisphere. And we would like to express our sincere thanks to him for his valuable support during the preparation of the 54th regular period of sessions of the General Assembly, which was held in Asunción in June last year. His ongoing openness and focus, as well as his friendliness, have been key in overcoming challenges in intense roundtables and working groups, and his support has been a determining factor in the success of that event. Ambassador Mendez, you can be certain that the efforts that you put forth over the last 10 years have not gone unnoticed. Your dedication, serene leadership, and tireless dedication to inclusive and frank dialogue have left a mark during your time as ASG, and you have left such a strong legacy in building consensus, including during some of the most challenging times. You worked with authenticity to build a more open, humane OAS closer to the people that it represents. At the beginning of a new era for the ASG, we trust that the tools that you built and the values that you've represented, dignity, commitment, dialogue, and service, will continue to guide our path forward toward a more relevant, effective OAS in order to achieve our ideas of peace and justice, which are part of our founding charter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, delegation of Paraguay. We now offer the floor to the delegation of Uruguay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General, my delegation would like to echo the words expressed by Ambassador Vargas from Colombia as coordinator of the Group of 10. On behalf of Uruguay, we would like to express our sincerest recognition and thanks to Ambassador Nestor Mendez for his years of service committed to leading this organization. During these years, Ambassador Mendez has been a point of reference representing balance and commitment to the principles that bring us all together here at the OAS. His term with respect for all has been an example of constructive leadership in a hemisphere that has its complexities. Uruguay has truly appreciated his approach for dialogue. We would also like to underscore his approach to participation of young people, gender equity, Afro-descendants, and indigenous peoples, and institutional strengthening, in addition to so many other things, always from the standpoint of equality. Ambassador Mendez, we wish you the best of success in your path as of now, with respect and the appreciation of Uruguay, and with the legacy of your ethic, deep-seated inter-American approach. Thank you very much.
Thank you, delegation of Uruguay. The floor now goes to the delegation of Argentina.
Gracias. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The delegation of Argentina echoes the comments of those who spoke before me. We really don't believe there's too much else to add other than the professional and human qualities of Ambassador Mendez and the invariable contribution that he has offered the inter-American system. First, as permanent representative of his country, a time during which I was honored to meet him, and when he chaired the group, and then as Assistant Secretary General of the OAS. So in that context, we would like to particularly and especially thank the tireless cooperation and willingness to work as coordinator of the General Assembly of the OAS as well, with regards to item 1 of 4th plenary session, which has to do with the Malvinas Islands, of utmost importance for our country. This thanks we should like to offer to all of his team, Carmen Lucia, Ambassador Prince, and Francisco. I don't see him right now, but Francisco, to Roxanne, Rodrigo, and of course to all the other names that I don't recall right now. We truly appreciate everything you've done always, and for those who remain behind, they'll continue to help us, but we wish you the best of success and luck in a different place, but you'll always come back to the OAS, so our paths will cross once again, and we are going to really miss you, and thank you very much for everything you've done. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, delegation of Argentina. We now offer the floor to the delegation of Suriname.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have anything to add to all the explanations that were given, but you see our solidarity today, Mr. Mendez, and some of us have dressed up, especially for you. I just want to say thank you, Ambassador Mendez, and thank you for being there also as a friend. Thank you, Nestor.
Thank you, Ambassador. We now offer the floor to the delegation of Guatemala.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. For the delegation of Guatemala, it's an honor to participate in this special session of the Permanent Council, where we would like to express our recognition and our appreciation for the sterling work done by Ambassador Mendez, who has done an outstanding job as Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of American States. We would like to underscore the valuable work carried out by Ambassador Mendez over the course of the last 10 years in the service of the organization. His leadership, his capacity for dialogue in the face of dialogue or hemispheric conflicts, as well as his commitment with a dynamic agenda, an inclusive one, and one that was in touch with the realities of the peoples of the hemisphere. These have left a deep-seated footprint in the inter-American system. We truly value his open and constructive spirit with everything in his mandate, open up frank dialogue amongst member states, and supporting key initiatives in areas such as food security, nutrition, gender equality, and youth involvement, and the promotion of human rights with an equity approach. We appreciate his constant support for indigenous peoples and to Afro-descendant peoples, including the Inter-American Week and the others in situation of vulnerability. His leadership has contributed significantly to consolidate a more inclusive OAS, one that is more in touch with the citizenship and committed to the principles that we all share. I would also like to share something else that reflects the recognition of the Guatemalan people. On the 17th of October 2022, during the 9th Inter-American Meeting of Ministers of Culture held in the city of Antigua, Guatemala, Ambassador Mendez received the keys of the city, representing the Secretary General, as a demonstration of his commitment to the culture. And this act symbolized not only recognition for institutions, but also the appreciation that his work generated throughout the region. We truly believe that the new Secretary General, the new Assistant Secretary General, Madam Hill, will give priority to the topics promoted during his term and will strengthen the role of the Secretary as a space for dialogue and action in benefit of all member states. Guatemala reiterates its willingness to continue to work alongside in a constructive way in favor of all of the priorities for the hemisphere. So to conclude, we would like to once again mention our thanks for the professionalism, willingness, and commitment to the values of the inter-American system exemplified by Ambassador Mendez. We wish you the best success in your new endeavors.
Thank you, Ambassador. I now offer the floor to the delegation of Jamaica.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Secretary General Ramdin, Assistant Secretary General Mendez, distinguished colleagues. It is an honor on behalf of the government and people of Jamaica to join in extending our deepest appreciation and warmest farewell to Ambassador Nestor Mendez. Ambassador Mendez has served the hemisphere with distinction, diplomacy, and unwavering commitment over the past decade. Throughout his tenure, he brought to this role a deep understanding of the challenges facing our region and a tireless passion for promoting hemispheric cooperation, social inclusion, and development. Jamaica recalls with particular appreciation Ambassador Mendez's steadfast engagement with CARICOM member states and his continued advocacy on issues of central importance to small island developing states. Whether advancing dialogue on youth empowerment, climate resilience, the digital economy, or institutional strengthening, Ambassador Mendez was a constant voice for equity, partnership, and innovation. We also commend his leadership in strengthening collaboration with the University of the West Indies, as well as his initiatives in the areas of education, gender equality, and public health. He was often a bridge between stakeholders, the organization, and civil society, between member states and multilateral partners, always encouraging constructive dialogue and mutual respect. Ambassador Mendez's tenure has been marked by sensitivity to the needs of member states, especially during periods of regional crisis and transition. Ambassador Mendez embodied the spirit of regionalism, multilateralism, and the core values of the inter-American system, upholding the principles of democracy, human rights, and sustainable development. Additionally, he showed a deep commitment to fostering a spirit of inclusion and mutual respect across the Americas. He has been an advocate for celebrating the rich cultural diversity of member states, ensuring that the OAS recognized and honored the national days and commemorate occasions of its member states. His leadership in this regard not only prompted unity, but also underscored the value of cultural identity as a cornerstone of regional solidarity. As he demits office, Jamaica offers sincere wishes to Ambassador Mendez in all his future endeavors. We trust that the legacy he leaves behind at the OAS will continue to inspire a new generation of hemispheric leaders. Ambassador Mendez, your calm diplomacy, infectious energy, and unwavering professionalism will be greatly missed in these halls. Thank you for your service, and please rest assured that you will always have the enduring respect and friendship of Jamaica. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ambassador. The floor now goes to the delegation of Barbados.
Thank you, Chair. Secretary General Ramdin, Assistant Secretary General Mendez, permanent representatives, alternates, permanent observers, colleagues. Mr. Chair, I hope that my short intervention won't require the use of your mute button. It is a feature I know my wife wishes that she had access to on occasions. I do apologize, Assistant SG, for being late this morning. Today I drove myself into the OAS, and I had the dilemma a couple of times of listening either to the GPS or to my wife's instructions. We know who won in that regard. Today is kind of special because my brother, to quote one of my colleagues, you are being celebrated in a way that, in a sense, it is almost like previewing your eulogy. All these wonderful things that people say about you after you have departed. And so you get a glimpse into the future. I trust it will not be as long on that occasion, though I suspect you would not be bothered by time. So today I will do the mandatory thing, because duty requires me to repeat some of what has already been said. So I hope not to bore you too long. The phrase, which notes many are called, but few are chosen, originates from the parable of the wedding banquet in the Bible. This phrase is apt, and the parallel here is that you, sir, have demonstrated faith and obedience in the execution of your tasks over the last 10 years as Assistant SG. As many of my colleagues have said before, you have lived your life the way you have carried out your duties as Assistant SG with passion, wholeheartedness, and enthusiasm. Barbados is therefore pleased to join the many others who have sung your praises and have recognized your decade of service and leadership here at the OAS. Since taking office, you have elevated the OAS's profile as our hemisphere's leading political institution. You have been an unyielding voice of integration, inclusivity, and efficiency, giving the OAS backbone in moments of profound regional challenge, most noticeably during the COVID-19 pandemic. You reminded us that defending the Inter-American Democratic Charter is not a mere statement of principle, it is the cornerstone of this body's legitimacy and its purpose. Under your tenure, the OAS responded with the resolve to do a job without the financial resources to do it. Your leadership and the work of your immediate team will be remembered. Your support for activities pertaining to people of African descent and to the Caribbean community have also deepened the OAS's role in placing expressions and human dignity at the center of a development vision for the organization. The OAS has become even better for it. Assistant SG Mendez, as we say goodbye to you, we thank you for your years of service, which have been marked by moral clarity and a commitment to action. We wish you continued success, and we thank you for your contributions to the cause of creating an inclusive and dignified hemisphere. On behalf of the government and people of Barbados, I wish you all the best in your future endeavors as you embark on the next chapter of your career. On a personal note, I want to thank you for the very warm welcome that you gave me on assuming the chair of the PC immediately on arrival without having a clue as to how it operates. I'm grateful to you for that. The absence of the Waibera today is really indicative of the difficulty in sizing one from my dimensions. They have to be built. They're not off the rack. I want you to know, however, that I have secured a source and that we are in production at this time. I look forward, as I gather you have not spent as many years in your beautiful Belize as perhaps you should have, to sharing and exploring Placencia, and yes, Orange Walk too as well, and Ambergris Key, AKA we know the name that it is called by, and the waters of the amazing reefs, the Great Barrier Reef, second only to the one in Australia. I'm sure that you will find time for some of those, though I suspect that is not all that is in your future. And I thank you for your friendship. It has been a delight to know you, and you have also helped me to be liberated from the tie. I thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. We now have a few interventions from the permanent missions, observer missions, and we'll begin with the delegation of Spain.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. I would like to thank this Permanent Council for holding this meeting and for giving us an opportunity to echo the comments of the mandate of the Assistant Secretary General leading the Organization of American States. This is an opportunity to thank him for his work in favor of advancing the Organization of American States and his willingness with this permanent observer mission in Spain, and particularly wish him the best of luck in the next phase that begins now. A lot of issues have been heard, such as transition successfully to virtual space and at the same time taking hold when COVID-19 was gripping us all and promoting other weeks of people of African descent and indigenous peoples and giving us an invitation to cooperate. We did so gladly, but I didn't want to overlook this opportunity to offer a special recognition of Ambassador Mendez's leadership in two issues which are of vital importance, in my opinion, and which are very deserving. The first, mental health and prevention of suicide prevention. And here I had the opportunity to share some work and some thoughts in the joint mission WHO, that is to say PAHO, I should say, and the OAS, to open up the roadway for mental health in the Americas. This has been shored up in the 55th General Assembly in Antigua and Barbuda. And then secondly, I should also like to mention his work and his progress made when it comes to strengthening the Spanish language. That hasn't been easy, but the first steps have been taken where we can continue to promote that language henceforth. Thank you very much for your willingness, your cooperation to consider Spanish as an opportunity to express ourselves and in terms of building bridges for progress. In the OAS, your soul will remain, and it's not just some satisfaction, but when a phase ends, the ideas and the projects last over and above any one moment. So thank you very much. And then lastly, I would like to thank you for your closeness with this mission and the beacon you offered us. Deep-seated thanks to your team as well, to your entire team, and particularly to Ambassador Prince, with whom we have talked and worked with a lot. I have wonderful memories of this organization and working with you, and we wish you the best of success in your future endeavors.
Thank you, Ambassador. I now offer the floor to the delegation of France.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, permanent representatives, Mr. Deere, Assistant Secretary General, France would like to thank you and pays tribute to you today alongside others. I don't want to repeat the importance of your term and your contribution to this organization. And at the same time, we recognize the structure, your deep-seated commitment, particularly with Afro-descendants, young people, and civil society. I would particularly like to thank you for your diplomatic elegance, and particularly for the permanent observers with whom you have always listened and given your advice. I would be remiss if I didn't mention your team and pay tribute to your team that was always open and wonderful to work with. Dear Mr. Mendes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. I now offer the floor to the delegation of Italy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We would also like to join in as permanent mission at the OAS and echo the comments and paying tribute to Nestor Mendes. We would like to thank him for his sterling work over the course of 10 years as Assistant Secretary General to promote and strengthen close cooperation with the Secretary General and underscoring the 4 pillars that are the cornerstone of the OAS, particularly when it comes to human rights and the protection of vulnerable groups. We would also like to highlight the complex work when it comes to preparing the General Assemblies that represent the highest, most noble, and maybe most complex part of life of the OAS from the standpoint of politics. On a daily basis, Ambassador Mendes has stood out thanks to his professional qualities, which were nurtured and harvested over the course of a distinguished diplomatic career. These qualities led him to have a unanimous vote in 2020, particularly because of these sterling qualities. We wish him the very best for his future. And although his work was always guided by the principles of independence and autonomy and impartiality, we also believe that on behalf of his country, from Belize, he comes, it's through his country that he has shown. We'd like to thank you for the work of your team under Ambassador Celia Prince for all of the cooperation that was always offered. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, delegation of Italy. I now offer the floor to the delegation of the Holy See.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This delegation of the Holy See echoes the comments of the distinguished member states observers to bid farewell of our esteemed Assistant Secretary General, Nestor Mendes. During these years that I've been privileged to participate in the activities and all of the work done in this House of the Americas, I have been able to see firsthand the sterling organizational capacity he has had that is accompanied by his deep-seated talent and personality. In recognition to his invaluable contribution alongside his team, and particularly during the tough times of the pandemic, it's thanks to you that the organization continued to meet during that time, thanks to the Kudo platform. Another word of admiration for your leadership with organizing the Week for Indigenous Peoples and Afro-Descendants. This is something that we could appreciate 2 or 3 years ago, given your experience that you brought to this whole of the Americas when you brought everything that came from your dear country, Belize, and maybe it's better to not repeat anything. But lastly, deep-seated thanks to your commitment and your assistance offered in making visible and in promoting fundamental rights of religious freedom in the region. Cooperating with this mission of the Holy See, this is something that was crucial. I wish you the best of success to your wife Elvira, to your mother Genoveva, to your children, and to your entire family. May you enjoy light and the good winds in your next phase of life. All the best to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, delegation of the Holy See. I see we now reach our final contribution, and we offer the floor to the delegation of the European Union.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to try to be brief because I know I'm the last one up and always saving the best for last. I'm happy to be here today representing the European Union as we gather to honor a decade of leadership and commitment to our shared principles. Assistant Secretary General Nestor Mendez assumed office in 2015 with the clear vision to uphold democracy, defend human rights, foster integral development, particularly in the area of climate change, and to ensure multidimensional security throughout the Americas. Over the past 10 years, Ambassador Mendez has led the OAS through moments of profound change and extraordinary challenge, and under his stewardship, reaffirmed the OAS's role as the hemisphere's foremost multilateral forum, a place where member states of this organization come together to defend the core values enshrined in the Inter-American Democratic Charter. A hallmark of his leadership has been his contributions to the revitalization of the OAS as a platform for global engagement, including deepened collaboration with permanent observers who have consistently demonstrated solidarity with our partners in the Americas. Assistant Secretary General Mendez worked diligently to foster partnerships with observers in areas such as electoral observation, sustainable development, and gender equality. So, of course, leadership is not exercised in isolation. Assistant Secretary General Mendez has been supported by a dedicated team, by member states willing to engage, and by citizens across the Americas who believe in the promise of democracy and the power of regional cooperation. But I do want to offer one little anecdote. I remember many years ago when my daughter was in middle school here locally, and they were planning a trip to Belize. And she was over the moon about being able to experience a beautiful country such as yours. So I asked the ambassador at the time, could you please arrange or help us arrange a visit to the embassy? And I have to say thank you very much for that, because I believe that they would have never had the experience that they did without having a preview of the wonders that your country had to offer. So, Assistant Secretary General Mendez, on behalf of the European Union, we thank you for your service and steadfast collaboration in advancing democracy, human rights, and regional security, important efforts that we continue to support. We wish you every success in the road ahead and trust that wherever your journey takes you, the spirit of the Americas and that of the European Union will go with you. Thank you.
Thank you, representative from the European Union. I see we have no further requests on the board, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank all delegates for your warm and moving contributions, I think, to this special celebration. I now have the honor to offer the floor to Assistant Secretary General to the Organization of American States, Ambassador Nestor Mendez. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I must confess that there have been few times in my life when I have felt moved, touched to the point of feeling almost speechless. And for me, it's a first. I really have been, I don't know how to react when people talk about me like that, and I hope the ambassador of Barbados is not correct in saying that it was a preview of a eulogy. But anyway, distinguished chairman of the Permanent Council, distinguished Secretary General of the OAS, distinguished ambassadors, permanent representatives and alternate representatives, permanent and alternate observers, dear members of my family and dear friends who are sharing with us today, esteemed colleagues of my team, my executive office, and of course the wider family of the OAS General Secretariat, including all of our people spread in our national offices across our member states. From very young, I was taught when you're in doubt as to how to proceed, you turn to the Almighty. So I want to start saying a word of thanks to our divine Creator for His love, His protection, for watching over my family and myself and the extended family of the Organization of American States all my life, but especially over the last 10 years. That's where we start. That's the cornerstone. Thanks to the Almighty. It is indeed a special honor to address you, to convey my heartfelt gratitude to everyone, and to bid farewell to the Permanent Council as I conclude my second 5-year term, 10 years as Assistant Secretary General of this noble institution. I wish to especially recognize the members of my family that are here today, some of whom traveled many, many miles to be here, and I truly appreciate your presence this morning. I am more than touched by the effort you have made to join us today. While thinking about what to say today, and what to say in this final opportunity to address the Permanent Council in this capacity, I started asking myself, what are the important things that I have learned in the past 10 years? And I realized that from the very beginning of my first term and throughout the 10 years in office, I was constantly reminded of the awesome responsibility inherent in holding public office. How overwhelmingly significant it is for member states to deposit their trust in you, to vote for you, to work with you, and to stand with you for an entire decade. My heartfelt appreciation to all the member states for this trust, for their support over the last decade. The OAS is at a moment of renewal and a moment of continuity. I wish to take this opportunity to once again extend my congratulations to Secretary General Albert Ramdin, who's taking over at a very important, crucial period of time in the life of our organization. And of course, also to Ambassador Laura Hill, who will be taking office at the beginning of next week. We are happy that the OAS will remain in good hands with them at the helm. I also want to take the opportunity to give a special shout out to former Secretary General Luis Almagro, dear friend and colleague of 10 years, with whom we fought many battles internally and externally, all while keeping view of the importance of protecting the institution and the principles it represents. Luis, wherever you are right now, my brother, I hope you're doing well. So, we have had a long morning, and I've never been one for lengthy speeches. A lot of things have been said this morning, and I have been profoundly touched by it. I'm moved, and I'm very grateful. But I do want to mention a couple things. One of the things that I am concerned about, really, is that I have noticed, I have seen over the last 10 years, it didn't start over the last 10 years, it's been longer, but the state of the relationship between the member states and the General Secretariat, it's something that needs to be relooked. That state of suspicion, that idea that something sinister is going on, it's not a good feeling. It's not constructive. We can do better than that. The enemy is not within our ranks. The enemy is outside, and we need to close ranks. Our institution needs it more than ever. Well, I won't extend myself into that. It starts to get into negative territory, and those who know me know I prefer to remain positive and look forward at what we can improve. There will be circulating shortly a publication that I'm leaving as a legacy. It was prepared by the staff in my office. I want to recognize the project leader, Kendall Belial, who I asked to take over this final project, KB, and she said, "This will be the last one, right?" And I said, "Indeed." So you will be getting it shortly. It is an interactive product. It's a book, mostly with some interviews, not a lot of political analysis because the real experts in that are sitting around the table. And so I have stayed away from that, but I did want to share some of the more intimate experiences working within the Secretariat, what it has meant to me, what I have learned, and in particular, what we had to do during the COVID pandemic when the entire world shut down and we were forced to migrate into the virtual world and ensure continuity of business in an institution that at that moment became even more important because this is where we had to meet to talk about how we're going to face that global threat together. So that kind of experience is how we had to adapt the technology, how we had to train people both in the use of equipment and new equipment. And I learned so much in that process. So those are the kinds of information and interviews that are shared in the book. And so I want to thank, as I said, Kendall. I also want to thank from the print shop, Roxana Reyes, Carla Daniela Silva, the graphic artist, and from the Department of Press and Communications, Gonzalo Esparís, Morgan Neal, and Kern Stanley. In a moment like this, the most important thing, as I said in the General Assembly, is to give thanks. So I want to start by giving thanks to the Prime Minister of Belize, John Briceño, and the former Prime Minister of Belize, Dean Barrow, for their support during my time in office, for being there whenever I needed to consult, whenever I need to call. That availability means a lot to me. Thank you to both of them. Sometimes the most obvious things are never said, but I want to thank my country, Belize. I want to thank that beautiful, small, unique gem in Central America, the bastion of democracy and stability. A place where a young man from a village, growing up in the rural north of Belize, can dream big and work hard and get an education and make it to be ambassador of Belize to the United States and the OAS, and then make it to be elected to be the Assistant Secretary General of this organization. That is the country where I come from, and I know I'm extremely blessed and I'm so proud. Thank you to my country. I want to thank my executive staff, whom you know, people who have been with me over the last 10 years. They're sitting right there. Lacilia, thank you for everything you've done, for being always there. Lacilia and I, we did not always agree on the how, but we always agreed on the what. And the what was always in the best interest of the people we serve. And so, thank you for being there, for all the work, the council, and for the service you have given to the people of the Americas. Carmen Lucia, of course, always in very, very discreetly, but extremely in control of everything that's going on. Her invaluable work. Those who have chaired the Permanent Council know how much work goes into that. with her team, and Rodrigo and the other committee secretaries, Roxani in the office. Carmen Lucia is a quiet force of nature in her own right. Discreet, effective, and always reliable. Thank you very much. Yolande, who came on board late in my team, coordinating the network of national offices, that sometimes overlooked but tremendously valuable asset of our institution. I want to give a special shout out to them. I'm sure many of them are watching today, trying to feel connected. Sometimes they say they feel a little left out because they're far. I want to assure them that they're very much a part of us, as much as those people whose offices are in the administrative building on F Street. We value your work. We know you are our front office on the field, and we know that you help touch in a positive way the lives of people every day across the Americas. I also want to thank Francisco. He and his team with the Department of Conferences and Meetings Management. Those are the guys who make the magic happen. Those are the guys who are first on the ground in the preparation of every big meeting, and they are the last to leave the site after the conclusion of these meetings. They work hard. They spend sometimes all night. And if they have to wake up at 4 in the morning and go back to setting up, doing things, troubleshooting, making sure that when the principals arrive, when the foreign ministers, when the ambassadors, when the representatives arrive, that they can be confident that when they press the button, their country's voice will be heard. That is a tremendous service that they give all the time. So Francisco, thank you, and Sandra, Gloria, and the entire team who has been working and delivering for our people throughout these years. Kendall, of course, Kendall is our special projects. Kendall is our go-to. She put a lot of effort into organizing many of the events in my office. And whenever there was something new, totally, that needed whatever research, writing, organizing, the one who was my go-to was Kendall. Kendall, thank you. Thank you. All the best. KB, that's what we call her in the office, Kendall Belial. Thank you very much. I also want to thank the permanent observers. Your support has meant a lot for my office with the projects we have been organizing, working very closely with you. A very special thanks to Monsignor, representative of the Holy See. His kindness and his generosity allowed my family and I to have a unique, invaluable experience when we were able to visit the Vatican and to get an audience with His Holiness Pope Francis. For us, that was a major, major event in the life of my family, and we will always be very grateful to the Holy See, and especially to its representative. Of course, Spain, we've worked with Spain on bilingualism. This is one of the things I always talk about when I go to the member states and I visit institutions of higher learning, especially in the Caribbean, and many times also in Central America, when I insist that our people no longer have the luxury of only being able to speak one language, especially in the Caribbean. You know, the mainstay of the economies is tourism. And if we cannot talk to our guests in a language that they understand, that will allow them not only to communicate better and more effectively, but to spend more money. That's the idea, you know, improve the service. So bilingualism is very important. It's not just culturally expansive and inclusive. It makes economic sense. I know several of the Caribbean leaders have been talking about it, and I hope that that remains something that the OAS can continue to support the region with. And the same thing goes for Central America. It's no longer possible only to speak Spanish. We need to speak another language for many of the same reasons. and because our world is becoming so quickly more integrated. And then we have the other official languages of the organization, just as important. But at least one more, you pick whichever, the one that makes more sense. But we need to keep instilling this in our young people, especially young people, because once you get to a certain age like me, I have trouble learning a new language at this point in my life. And if I do learn it, the words that I would learn would not be fit for decent company in a dinner table. So I would stay away from that. To my family, people who know me know the importance of family. To me, my wife, Elvira, my son, Anwar, my daughter, Kiara, and now with their respective partners, Manny and Marilyn. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for being there. My family has always been my first line of defense, and many times the last line of defense as well. And you cannot, take on the responsibility that I have been blessed to have without having that team there, always to rely on them. And now my kids are also advisors that I trust in their own respective fields, along with my wife. They mean the world to me. My mother, thank you for many of you who mentioned her. My mother had planned from weeks that she was going to be here today. She lives here in Washington, and last night she called me and she was so sad that she came down with the flu. And so I asked for the link for the webcast. Gloria sent it to me very quickly. And so I know she's watching from home. Thank you. My mother believes in prayer, and her silent counsel, her quiet strength has been a pillar for our family forever. So thank you, Mom. I know you're watching. My wife and I, we also have an extensive family. We have family, well, my wife's side has family all over the United States, or many states. And then in Belize, it's a lot of them. I know many of them are watching, and so thank you very much for your support. We have friends who journeyed from far to be here. I want you to know that I tremendously value your joining us today. It's an important moment in my life. I did not know I could feel this touch. I did not know I could get nervous after so long speaking both to the Permanent Council and to other audiences, but I am nervous, and it's new for me, but also the new stage of my life will be new for me, wherever it is that the good Lord will guide me to. To the wider OAS Secretariat staff, everybody from my driver that I see, he's the first OAS face I see in the morning when he picks me up. And many times the first one I see in the office is Miss Sonia, who does the cleaning, and the guards, and everybody else who has been so supportive, people who have gone out of their way to be not only respectful, but to actually help to pull their weight to show that belonging to this organization means something to them. I truly appreciate that level of ownership and commitment. I value tremendously all the support you have offered to me during this period of time. Si es que me estoy olvidando de
If I'm forgetting anyone, it's not intentional. The interpreters and translators and everyone from the General Secretariat, dear friends, those who work with us, members of civil society, our many friends from civil society are here, and certainly the entire General Secretariat. I truly value the support and dedication, as well as that pride that you show in belonging to the OAS. The Secretary General already mentioned that.
With OAS, I feel that, SG, and I know I will always be a part of this family, and I hope you know you can always continue to count on me. The last word, tremendous gratitude and thanks to the member states, as I began, for your support, for your trust, for your counsel, because I learned so much from you. I've always believed deep down that nobody has all the answers, no matter how smart you think you are. So there is just as much value in listening as there is in sharing knowledge, sharing experience, and sharing guidance. So I have learned so much from so many of you, you probably don't even realize it. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of that. And I want to end the way I started. I want to give thanks to the Almighty. And I also want to invoke His name and to ask Him to continue to protect our Organization of American States. And I pray that the Almighty keeps watching over all of us and the people in the Americas that we serve. Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Assistant Secretary General, for what I think were very touching reflections with this Permanent Council. We deeply value your unwavering dedication, your distinguished service to this organization, and your firm commitment to the principles that unite and guide us. There being no further requests for the floor, I would like to reiterate on behalf of the Permanent Council our heartfelt appreciation for your leadership, your integrity, and your tireless efforts in advancing the missions and values of the Organization of American States. We extend to you our very best wishes for the continued success in your future endeavors. We stood and applauded a while ago. Now we stand for the last time and give a round of applause to Assistant Secretary General. Thank you. Thank you once again. This meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you.
Yep, that's it. That's it.